I would ask everyone to stand for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Tonight's invocation is being offered by Pastor Chris Nichols of the Cross Point Church, the Bellevue campus. He is the guest of Council Member Bo Mitchell.
Pray with me, please. Lord God, thank you for this day. And I begin right now first praying for the people of Oklahoma, for the tragedy they experienced yesterday and for the realities that they are facing today. Lord, we as Tennesseans know what it is to experience great loss and also to rise from it. And so I pray that you'll give us opportunity to serve our brothers and sisters there in Oklahoma, that we can serve them and love on them. God, I know that Nashville is known for a great many things. Lord, I pray that we would be famous for our compassion, that we would be known for that, and that in these days we would find ways to reach out to them. I pray for this meeting tonight. I pray for our public servants. I ask that you give them courage to do what is right and wisdom to fight for what is best. And God, I pray that as citizens and as public servants that we would all be good stewards of this great city that we share together. It's in Jesus' name that I pray. Amen.
Without objection, we'll suspend the calling of the roll and ask the clerk to record the names of the members present throughout the meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of our last meeting? I have a motion and a second. Without objection, the minutes will stand approved as written. Madam Clerk, are there any messages from the mayor?
There is a message from the mayor. Dear Vice Mayor Neighbors and members of the council, please find attached the State of Tennessee reporting forms required to be submitted to the local legislative body following the sale of bonds previously authorized by the Metropolitan Council. The reports are for the sale of $237,930,000 of water and sewer revenue bonds, Series 2013, which closed on April 25, 2013, and for $374,665,000 of general obligation improvement bonds, Series 2013A, which closed on May 9, 2013. As always, we appreciate the Metropolitan Council's support on these important financing initiatives. Sincerely, Carl F. Dean, Mayor.
Thank you. You will notice on your desk there is a proposed rule change that we will be voting on at our next meeting, but it's on your desk for your review prior to that. We'll be in the Rules Committee before our next meeting. We're going to do things just a little bit differently tonight. We're going to go ahead with our presentations. The first one is Councilmember Johnson and Councilmember Maynard and many others.
I would like to ask Mr. and Ms. Fitzgerald to please come to the front. And all of my council colleagues that also that would like to join us. And Dr. Register, please. This resolution is recognizing the organization In Full Motion, which is an ACT preparatory organization. Coach Maurice Fitzgerald Sr. founded a nonprofit organization called In Full Motion, which seeks to address the academic problems that plague inner city students and schools, including low passage rates on high school exit exams, low scores on college entrance exams, and staggering high school dropout rates. And whereas Coach Maurice Fitzgerald Sr. and his wife, educator Cynthia Fitzgerald, are exceptional motivators and mentors who saw too many times students falling victim to dropping out of high school and eventually to crime, and even a good portion of students that made it to graduation didn't have the minimum requirements to attend college and to address this ongoing epidemic. In Full Motion was formed in 2005, and it primarily helps inner city and disadvantaged students prepare for and pay for the ACT-SAT test to assure that every student has the opportunity to graduate high school and attend college, trade school, or a university of their choice. And In Full Motion also provides college tours, academic tutoring, mentoring, scholarship assistance, and educational services for parents. In Full Motion, a nonprofit organization, is committed to serving and providing assistance to young inner city at-risk youth in achieving the goal of becoming a productive citizen who wouldn't otherwise have the opportunity to advance their educational futures while empowering these young people with the necessary tools to be successful. Whereas it is fitting and proper that the Metropolitan Council recognizes In Full Motion for the great service they have provided and continue to provide the youth of the city of Nashville. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, we hereby go on record as recognizing In Full Motion. A copy of this resolution has been presented to Coach Maurice Fitzgerald and Cynthia Fitzgerald, and a proclamation has been personalized for each and every student that has performed well within this program, scoring a 21 or higher on their ACT. Would you all like to say a few words?
Thank you very much. On behalf of my wife, Attorney Cynthia Fitzgerald, and our staff, the chairman of our board, Minister Barbara Harris. In Full Motion, it's more than a nonprofit. It's a ministry. And the ministry is giving these young people hope, giving these young people strategies to make their lives better. We're extremely excited about these young people. We are happy, but all of them couldn't get in. We have about 300 kids that came to support themselves. And the great running back Gail Sayles once said that if I just had an inch of daylight, well, I'm telling you that with these kids, it's an inch of daylight when we can take them to college and we can take them to Washington, D.C., to Georgetown and Howard University. That's an inch of daylight. It's an inch of daylight when we see these kids come up from where they were to where they are. It's an inch of daylight when we have 3 students that in one family that has 30 on the ACT, 30 on the ACT, and 28 on the ACT. That's an inch of daylight. It's an inch of daylight when students that can come, that they're respectful, that their pants are pulled up, and they're saying yes, sir, and no, sir. That's an inch of daylight. That's an inch of daylight when they come and they're prepared and they're seeking our assistance, and we're there for them. So we want to say thank you on behalf of all of our 1,300 students, on behalf of all the people that have helped, the volunteers, the parents. It's a tremendous when we see parents coming out. And I had a little story. It was snowing, and we wanted to cancel In Full Motion, and we tried to get it out, but 130 kids showed up at Cameron Middle School, still wanting at 7 o'clock a.m., wanting education. That's an inch of daylight. God bless you.
Our next presentation is being offered by Councilmember Potts and others. Try again, Councilman Potts.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Friends and colleagues, we're here to honor some remarkable 3rd and 4th grade students as finalists of the 7th Annual Nashville Beautiful Art Contest. I would like them to come with me at this moment, and while I read the resolution honoring these students. Seems everyone's here. I'm going to read the resolution honoring these special students. Whereas a community goal to increase environmental participation and progress to help Nashville become one of the leading green cities in the southeast United States, and whereas educating and involving young generations of Nashvillians is a key to achieving long-term environmental progress, and whereas for the past 6 years, Red River Service Corporation has conducted an annual environmental education program that focuses on the arts to engage thousands of Metro Nashville Public Schools 3rd and 4th grade students, enlivening their creative spirits and nurturing environmental awareness, and whereas Metro Public Works, Metro Beautification and Environment Commission, Metro Nashville Public Schools, Red River Service Corporation, Nashville Arts Coalition, and Metropolitan Arts Commission are partners in this ongoing education program. Whereas it is fitting and proper that the Metropolitan Council recognizes these talented young artists for their entries into the Nashville Beautiful Art Contest and their contribution to the citywide campaign to promote recycling and city beautification. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, Section 1, the Metropolitan Council hereby goes on record as recognizing the finalists of the 7th Annual Nashville Beautiful Art Contest. And let's congratulate them this evening. Y'all come out in the hallway, we'll get y'all some proclamations.
I would like to remind everyone that if you're in the chamber, you need to be sitting. If you cannot find a seat, you will need to move to the mezzanine. Councilmember Davis.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. First, with our elections and confirmations for the Action Commission, we had a reappointment of Ms. Casey Anderson. The committee voted 7-4, 0 against, and I'd like to move her approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes.
Next, from the Airport Authority, we had a first-time appointment of Mr. Trey Harwell. The committee recommended 7-4, 0 against. I'd like to move his approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes.
For the Human Relations Commission this evening, we had to withdraw Mr. Richard Kennedy's nomination. We had to defer for one meeting Ms. Sharon Kay and Mr. Don Peterson, both reappointments, and I'd like to move for a one-meeting deferral. The committee recommended that 7-4, 0 against.
We had a motion and a second. All in favor of the one-meeting deferral, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes.
Also, for the Human Relations Commission, we had a reappointment of Ms. Deborah Palmer George. We had a first-time appointment of Ms. Tasha French-Limley, a reappointment of Mr. Avi Poster, and a reappointment of Mr. Frank True. All were recommended 7-4, 0 against, and I'd like to move approval.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor of their approval, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes.
Finally, for the Board of Parks and Recreation, we had a first-time appointment of Ms. Juliana Ospina Cano, and the committee recommended her approval 7-4, 0 against.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. When I call your name, please stand and remain standing. Casey Anderson, Trey Harwell, Deborah George, Tasha Limley, Avi Poster, Frank True, and Juliana Cano. On behalf of the entire Metropolitan Council, thank you for your willingness to serve our great city and to donate your time. Thank you.
So close, I think. Yeah.
We're now at our bills on public hearing. The first one is BL 2013-431. It adopts the operating budget for the metropolitan government for fiscal year 2013-2014. Councilmember Matthews.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. I'd like to open the public hearing.
Thank you. I just want to remind everyone how this works. Regardless of whether you're in the room or not, those who are in favor of the budget speak first. Each person has 3 minutes, and you will need to state your name and your complete address. After everyone in favor has spoken that wishes to speak, then we will call on those that are in opposition to the budget. Ms. Hayes is going to help ensure that if there are those out on the mezzanine in favor that were not able to be in the chamber, that she will be sure they get in line before we close those in favor, and she will do the same for those in opposition. Please raise your hand if you're in favor of the budget. Please raise your hand if you're in opposition. Those in favor of the budget wishing to speak, please line up at the lectern. Please state your name and address, please.
My name is Ed Grubbs. I live at 5609 Chestnut Wood Trail, Hermitage, Tennessee. I support the budget, especially the recent adding of the increment, where 1.5 is nice. That doesn't cover where they reinstated the 2% on the Social Security that they temporarily removed for a stimulus package and reinstated it. So it's 2% plus about 2% on the Consumer Price Index going up and the insurance going up. That's not going to be covered with a 1.5% raise. So I really appreciate y'all considering and going that extra step about giving an increment to the employees, because that'll go a long ways, and paying for those extras that, because I don't remember ever hearing of insurance rates going down. It's possible, but I don't think it's going to happen. The second part is I wanted to talk to, and again, I appreciate the consideration of the increment. The second part is dealing with parking for the employees at the public library downtown. Currently, they pay $115 a month if they work downtown at the public library. And if they don't choose to do that, they can park at some of the parking lots, $8 to $10 a day, or park at the football stadium and walk from the football stadium, or wait 45 minutes for the bus. This is in conjunction with Hume Fogg having 40 parking places, but they have 55 employees, so the school board picks up the cost of the parking for those 15 employees. If nothing else, I would wondered if they could consider allowing Metro Public Library employees to park at the courthouse. At least it's on this side of the river, and it's on the top of the hill, as opposed to when you ride the train and you've got to walk up that hill. That's pretty rough. But if you're on the same level, it's a little easier. I know it's a lot of departments either have free parking for their employees or help in some way assist. The only other place is down there below TSU, which is about 14th, and Charlotte, and the library is at 611. And also for the patrons, the first hour and a half is free, but if a patron parks all day at the library, it's $10 now. So, thank you for your time, and appreciate the work y'all do.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, members of council. I'm Robert Weaver, Fraternal Order of Police President. Our lodge is located 440 Welshwood Drive. We appreciate the work that you, the members of council, have done listening to our membership. You know how important these increments are. You have listened to us. This is my 5th year appearing before you, and I appreciate the work that you all have done in assisting us in communicating with the mayor and the mayor's staff to make these changes happen. This is important progress for our employees. This is important for this city to live up to its commitments to its employees, and you all have heard that. You all have expressed to me numerous times how important that is, and we appreciate it. We appreciate the work you've done, the difficult decisions that will have to be done further in this budget. We appreciate your work and your service, and the Fraternal Order of Police thanks you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the council. My name is Mark Young. I represent the firefighters of Nashville. Address is 100 Arlington Avenue. First, I'd like to say, yesterday morning, while all of you were making your way to the Music City Center, I heard the best speech that Mr. Riebling has ever given. Thank you, Rich. Our members are very grateful to you. This is a great city. Nashville is definitely growing, and some of the information that was put out yesterday at the Music Center City Center grand opening was that 1 million hotel rooms, over 1 million, are already booked. That's just something that's unheard of. And we want to be a part of this city as it grows. And I'm going to tell you, the Nashville has the greatest firefighters and medics in this country. And they are very grateful for a decision to get their increments back. And I just want to say that we are here to work with you in any way we can to make this possible. And thank you again.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Doug Collier, I'm the president of SEIU Local 205. I want to emphasize a point that Mark and Robert both have made, that we owe a great deal of gratitude to the mayor, to Rich, and to Greg for all the hard work that they've worked with this council on and been able to reinstate the increments. And Vice Mayor, we really appreciate that. On behalf of all the members of SEIU here, we really appreciate that. We think it's a great start going forward. We think it's a great way to be able to sit down and build toward the future. And one thing Mark forgot in his spiel when talking about Rich is that Rich finally was asked a question he couldn't answer. So that happened as well. But all jokes aside, we were pleased to see this day come. We're pleased to see all across Metro that things are coming together. What I don't want to see, and what I would ask this council's indulgence on, is in furtherance of this budget. As we look across the city budget's not the only one at stake now. We have what's incorporated with Head Start. We have the schools. And I don't want to get caught up in, like we did last year at the budget cycle when it passed. Then we find out the day after it's passed that it's announced that we got a whole group of school employees being laid off that we were not made aware of. I'd hate to wake up after this passes and find out in Tennessee and then we got school employees that either laid off, that we were not being told that's going to be laid off, or that their wages are going to be cut. But again, thank you. Thank all the council for your hard work and working with administration. And again, our members appreciate the hard work you put in. Thanks.
Thank you.
Tina Wiggs with the Nashville Metro Police Department, 7118 Riverfront Drive. I first want to start by saying thank you to the council and thank you to the mayor. Thank you for our chief of police for standing behind us as we're trying to push forward for the future. I want to say thank you for feeling that we are important enough for you guys to reinstate our increments. That is huge, and it means so much to each and every one of the police officers. My husband and I are honored to say that we work for the Nashville Metro Police Department. Together, my husband and I combined have over 30 years of service for Metro. Each day, we put on a bulletproof vest and a gun belt. We go into neighborhoods that we don't live. We speak to people that we don't normally hang out with outside of work. We go into neighborhoods that we don't visit on our day off, and we would lay our life down for anyone in this room, including someone that we don't know. With that in mind, I want to say thank you again for passing this budget, and please keep us in mind for the budget next year, that your first responders, whether it be your dispatchers, your police officers, your firemen, they make this city what it is. Without your first responders, there's no need for anything else, because you don't have tourism, you don't have people wanting to move to Nashville, you don't have people opening new businesses. So again, put your first responders first. And again, I want to thank you, and we hope that you continue to support your Metro Police Department.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Adam Nicholson at 3609 Pilcher Avenue, and I'm here on behalf of the board for Transit Now Nashville. And we're speaking to support the budget, in particular funding for mass transportation. It's an integral part of the city's further growth and development for the economy, for fighting congestion. It's a great economic development tool. It's estimated that every $1 spent on transit produces $4 of economic growth. And then there's also these studies that have come out from CEOs for cities. We apparently have the worst commute in the country, according to this group, worst commute time-wise. So I'm speaking in behalf to support the level of funding we have for transportation, and also for any future improvements that we could do to keep up with our peer cities, as well as we're doing in so many regards. We certainly have some room for improvement for transportation. So please maintain the funding, and if anything, let's improve it. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to have to clear the chamber if we keep having those outbursts. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in favor of the budget? If you are in the chamber, you need to be sitting. Those in opposition who wish to speak, please line up at the lectern.
Good evening, Madam Vice Mayor and members of the council. I come here before you tonight. My name is Rick Williams, 1733 Needlesman Road in Madison. I come before you tonight as director of Save Our Fairgrounds. There's a big group of us here tonight. A lot of us will be speaking. We're just asking that you consider fully funding Buck Dozier's budget he's proposed. I don't believe the mayor has agreed to do that, but Buck has worked hard to come with a budget. I think his meeting with you all is the 29th next week, and we really appreciate all your help and support. We have good Fair Board members now that are supportive of the fairgrounds and improving it and making it better, and we want to work with them to do that. Again, we appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is George Grun. I have Grun Guitars at 400 Broadway, but soon to be moving to 2120 8th Avenue South. And I'm not here opposed to the whole budget. I'm just here to speak out about one little tweak, a very small one, that is to help our fairgrounds. We have a new wonderful downtown convention center, which I supported, but the fairgrounds is a very important facility. It is visited by as many as 1 million people a year for over 500 events there each year. It is a very important piece of our history, part of our culture, and it serves a function that no other facility in Davidson County fulfills. It is not in competition with the downtown convention center, and what it needs in the way of support is a minuscule amount compared to the support given to the downtown convention center, downtown development, and the Predators, numerous others. The fairgrounds doesn't need much to keep it going and healthy, but it does need our support. The referendum for the charter amendment was voted on, passing by 71% of the people who voted in Davidson County. which is a clear indication that our people want the fairgrounds to be maintained and to prosper. So I am simply asking not to be opposed to the budget as a whole, but to tweak it very slightly and give the fairgrounds the support that it needs.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Melissa.
Ladies and gentlemen, if we have those outbursts, we will clear the chamber. I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. My name is Melissa Smithson, and I live at 4714 Delia Drive in Antioch. And like Mr. Gruen, I do support many parts of the budget, especially with our Metro employees that serve us. But I'm coming here today to ask you to consider, as members of a group which were voted to this office by the people of Davidson County, to amend your budget to include capital spending and improvements for the fairgrounds. If you don't know and need reminding, we the people, who just a short time ago sent a strong message voting overwhelmingly to amend the Metro Charter to keep the fairgrounds' existing uses. If you have forgotten this important statistic, voters approved the referendum by a vote of 43,168 votes. That's 71%. And if you didn't know or have forgotten, this referendum got more votes than most of you. We the people made it very clear we wanted to keep the fairgrounds and its existing functions. As representatives of the voice of your constituents, not the voice of the mayor or his office, it is your responsibility to make sure their voices are heard and needs are met. The fairgrounds has been a landmark and a public facility in this town, just like the Ryman, just like Centennial Park, which, by the way, you have spent millions to upgrade. But it does not bring visitors or provide jobs or income to small businesses and families. It hosts one of the country's largest flea markets, which draws people from all over the nation. The fairgrounds host one of two premier sporting events in Nashville, which was racing, long before our city decided to tax us in order to have football and hockey, which we pay dearly for each year. The fairgrounds has never taken any of the taxpayers' money. The fairgrounds' recent pitfalls has been due to the lack of proper management, and in fact, its coffers have been depleted in order to compensate for failing venues, such as the Bridgestone Arena. I have witnessed business meetings and board meetings, and as a business person myself, have been appalled by what I have witnessed and the lack of common business sense. It's no wonder the fairgrounds has struggled, and I'm amazed it has done as well as it has in spite of the inadequacies. I urge you once again, listen to those who you represent and vote on an amended budget to include capital funds to improve the fairgrounds, a place where we, the people of Nashville, come together. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening, Shannon McCullough, and I live at 405 Merritt Avenue, and I'm about 3 streets over from the fairgrounds and the raceway. Again, I just wanted to come. I've talked before on the fairgrounds, and I've been going there since I was just knee-high to my dad, watching the races and enjoying the fair. And I think with the capital budget or the capital appropriations that you can make it better. I don't want to see it go down any further. I'd like to see it made better and more useful than it is now. So thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Jerry Coble, 1104 North Graycroft, Madison, Tennessee. I just want to express I voted for the fairgrounds when the mayor election. I think we can save this place. I think we can make this place generate so much revenue if the mayor would allow it and the council would allow it, put a little bit of investment in it, and the profit would be there. This weekend, me and my son will drive to Birmingham, Alabama to race because we cannot race out here but 6 dates or 8 dates a year. We used to race 22 dates a year out there. You know, we used to have the Bush cars, the ARCA cars and all that coming out here and racing. We could still have that. We just have to have a commitment from this city saying that we can have somebody that will have a 25 or 30-year lease out there, and they can invest the revenue and the city can help them, and we could have a great venue, a great place to race. 43,000 people voted for this place, 6 months ago or whatever it was. I was one of those. I sure think that we can make this work. We have the Sounds, we have the Predators, we have all these other sporting venues, and I'm not against any of them because I support them all. I'm a taxpayer, I'm a small business operator. I support all of them. But this is the venue that I would like to see y'all support and help. It will maintain itself if you just give it started, give it the little boost that it needs, and give the lease operator enough time to generate money and revenue. It's just a small portion of the budget that could be planned for this place. And I know maybe the mayor or some of you don't like racing. I understand. That don't mean you need to take it away from me. I'm just asking, support the racetrack, support the fairgrounds property. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Terry Bear. I live at 323 Forest Park. I work with Saving the Fairgrounds, and I've also worked with Sunnyside Community Citizens since I used to live in that neighborhood and, before a developer bought out the place that I live, which is now still a pit on 1516 Kirkwood. I've been to several Fair Board meetings, and the same thing gets kicked around every time, that the Fairgrounds has lost money mostly in the last few years because of uncertainty. Somebody spent money on a master plan, and when it was done, the wishes of the people were ignored. There were a few things in there about possibly keeping the things that are there, but there was all this chance to build all these beautiful things and imagine all these beautiful things, and nothing was in either phase of the master plan, and people are mad that the money was spent on that. I also, like I say, I lived in that neighborhood. I would like to return there if I could. There are beautiful people that live in that neighborhood. They deserve the right to continue to live there. They shouldn't have to file legislation or put in overlays just to maintain the right to live in those areas around there. It is a valuable part of our area, and there's other processes in the budget that will put things in jeopardy in those neighborhoods. I think some of you need to go on walks with us when we go out and pass out flyers for Sunnyside and for the races and stuff, and see how the neighborhood is becoming diverse, and how in the other direction, when developers are buying up houses, if they determine they're vacant, or they look up what a house is put up for rent, and a developer comes in and takes that house out instead of a diverse group of people moving into the home, what the effect of that is. When I came down here, one of the things when I first drove out here from the state of Washington is what really hooked me is that I could live in various parts of town and actually live in homes that probably in other parts of the country I wouldn't even be looking at living in those things, because I wouldn't be able to afford them, or I wouldn't be able to fit in. And I think you need to keep that in mind when you're doing the budget. And we do need to, because of the fact that the master plan created some ill will and that it spurred on people to come up with plans to redevelop it against what the wishes of the charter amendment. The Fairgrounds does need some money to overcome that. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Reinhold Holtkamp. I live on 1501 Lishi Avenue. And, the Fairgrounds is, where Nashville comes together. I mean, this is really a place that over the last, over 100 years has brought together so many millions of people for events, from the beach show to the bird show to the races to everything. It's just a place where people congregate and just have fun, and the thing is that where can you go and spend $5 in parking and entertain your family? For a nice Saturday or a Sunday. There's nothing. You go to the Titan games, people drop several $100s. It's very restrictive, for the common folks. And this is something where I have to say, when I go to the flea market, you have people over there, from the less fortunate that live in a single wide to the people that live in Belmead. They're walking side by side, and they check their socioeconomic class right there at the gate. And they're walking around treasure hunting at the flea market. And what I'm asking really is for you all to look at the fairground as a jewel that Nashville has had for over 100 years. And it has been there for Nashville for that time. I think it's time for us, the council and the city, to step up and to be there for it now in its legacy, and help it out, with the necessary funds for it to get back on its feet. A couple of years ago, I spoke on the opportunity that the fairground has in holding electric races. This is something that I think is still very, very viable. The electric car is going to be part of our future, and the track is an ideal venue for it. It's a short track. And this is where electric cars can perform and show, and companies like Nissan and Audi and all these companies that have electric cars in their system, they will embrace the opportunity to race on a short track. So from the fairgrounds, from the flea market to the shows that they have to the racetrack, that fairgrounds is really a place where Nashville comes together, and I really want to thank you all for the support in keeping it going. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Vice Mayor, ladies and gentlemen of the council, my name is Shane Smiley. I live at 4220 Brush Hill Road here in Nashville. You got a big decision ahead of you with this budget. Everybody knows that. There's a lot of passion involved in the fairgrounds. A lot of people, 71% of the voters who voted to put this administration and each one of you in the seat voted to keep the fairgrounds. One thing we have not heard from the administration nor from this council is you to step up and go, we hear you. We hear what the people have to say, and we're here. The fairgrounds is going to stay. We're going to make it work. There's still a cloud of doubt over the fairgrounds, and that is causing issues with being able to build future events. If I want to book a future event that I plan on having for many, many years in advance, looking at the fairgrounds right now is a tough call because of that doubt. 71% of us voters voted to keep it. It passed in 34 of 35 districts. There was only one council member seated that got more votes than the referendum did in that district. And that's Edith Lancaster, got by 2 votes. You got 2 more. And that was a huge victory, both for the referendum as well as for her and her district. 6 years ago, when the mayor said he was going to close the property, in the subsequent months, we lost 260 events at the fairgrounds. Take that by 6 years, and the income that would be based on those 260 events still staying, and you would have more money than what is being asked for in this budget to help along. So I encourage you to go ahead and subsidize the fairgrounds at this time as was requested, because the revenue once again has been driven away by the potential closing of the property that would more than, if those 260 events were still in place, there wouldn't be any subsidy request. The money would be in the account. So we urge you to do the right thing, and it's time for the cloud over the fairgrounds on if it's going to stay to be erased. There's only one way for that to be erased, and that's for you as a council and you as an administration to stand up and say, we hear you, we support it, the voters have spoken, and we hear you. The fairgrounds is going to stay. We need that message from you so that we can draw in more events. Now, I appreciate your time. I know it's a tough decision, but please subsidize the fairgrounds as asked in an amendment budget, and let's keep the fairgrounds a place where Nashville does come together. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Renee McMurray. I live at 3868 Lake Air Drive. I might have an answer for the fairground problem if we could get people to listen to our problem about developing this school on Smith Springs Road. We do not have the sewer. It is in the 50-year floodplain. It flooded seriously in May. and you're talking about putting 1,600 kids
I'm
back
sorry,
there.
but that legislation is not on public hearing tonight. We're on the operating budget for the city of Nashville.
Well, if you were to take the $1.2 million you're planning on spending on a useless piece of property, you could support the fairgrounds with their money.
Thank you very much.
There is a piece of property across from Antioch High School that is on sale for $299,000 that would fit this much better.
Thank you. Seeing no one else wishing to speak, I declare the public hearing closed. Councilmember Matthews.
I'd like to move approval. Second. On second. Oh,
Committee
I need to give my
report.
committee report. Budget and Finance voted to approve 10-4, 0 against, and re-refer back to the Budget and Finance Committee. And
We
I'd
have
like
a
to
motion
move approval.
and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. We're now on resolutions that are on the consent agenda. I will tell you the three that are not. RS 2012-522, RS 2013-670, and RS 2013-700. I will read all others that are on the consent agenda, and you can let me know if there are any you wish to pull. BL 2013-672 approves an agreement with the Convention Center Authority for heating and cooling the new Music City Center. 693 approves agreements with the cities of Belmead, Berry Hill, Forest Hill, Goodlettsville, and Oak Hill pertaining to the performance of municipal functions. 694 appropriates up to $550,000 in the Community Development Block Grants Funds for improvements at Edmondson Park. 695 approves an application for a grant from the National Endowment for the Arts to the Metro Arts Commission for public art within Edmondson Park and a companion educational curriculum. 696 approves an application for renewal of a grant with the State Department of Correction to the state trial courts for community supervision and treatment services. 697 approves a grant from the U.S. Department of Justice to the Metro Police Department and the Davidson County Sheriff's Office for the purchase of bullet-resistant vests. 698 approves a second amendment to a lease agreement between the Metro government and Greensboro LP for the Police Department's domestic violence program. 699 approves a grant from the Metro Development and Housing Agency to the Metro Historical Commission to perform environmental review of historic properties. 701 approves an agreement between the Metro Board of Health and Matthews Memorial United Methodist Church to provide a location where current and potential women, infants, and children recipients may attend class. 702 approves a grant from the Key Alliance to the Metro Services Commission to provide housing for the chronically homeless persons. 703 approves an amendment to a current lease agreement between Metro government and the MFP Baseball LLC for lease of the Greer Stadium site for use by the Nashville Sounds minor league baseball team. 704 approves an amendment to a contract with the Red River Service Corporation for the collection of solid waste. 705 authorizes the Department of Law to compromise and settle the personal injury claim of Bernice Bryan against Metro government in the amount of $38,936. 706 authorizes the Department of Law to compromise and settle the personal injury claim of Ronald Felno against Metro government in the amount of $50,000. 707 authorizes the Department of Law to compromise and settle Metro government's claim against Christina Yates. And 708 approves the election of notaries public for Davidson County. Do any of these need to be pulled from the consent? Seeing none, I will need committee reports. Councilmember Matthews for the bills on the consent agenda.
All right, for all bills on consent agenda that were before Budget and Finance, we approved 12-4, 0 against.
Thank you. Councilmember Weiner.
On all bills before the health and hospitals, we voted 7-4-0 against.
Thank you. Councilmember Gilmore.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Parks, Library, Recreation, approved 3-4 and 0 against.
Thank you. Councilmember Claiborne.
2013, 698, 699, and 703 were approved by Planning, Zoning, and Historic by a vote of 11-0.
Thank you. Councilmember Bennett.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Public Safety approved 697, 698, 640 against.
Thank you. Councilmember Potts.
Public Works voted to approve 704, 540 against.
Thank you. Councilmember Anthony Davis.
Thank you. Rules approved 708, 740 against, and I'd like to move approval of the consent agenda.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor of the consent agenda, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. We'll now go back to RS 2012-522. Authorizes the Director of Public Property to exercise options to purchase 2 adjacent parcels of property located at 3132 and 3142 Smith Springs Road for Nashville Public Schools. Councilmember Duvall.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Committee reports, please.
Councilmember Matthews.
Budget and Finance approved as amended, 12-4, against.
Councilmember Claiborne.
Planning, Zoning, Historic has no recommendation due to a tie vote.
Councilmember Bedning.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Education Committee recommend approval with the amendment, 9-4, against.
Thank you. Councilmember Duvall.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I am going to ask for a 2-meeting deferral on this bill. I'm requesting that so that we can put the 3 committees together to have a public hearing for the people that live out there that are for and against this specific, or 2 schools that are proposed on this site. They have communicated numerous times via email. This would give them a chance so that you can understand that so many of the people that oppose the site do not oppose schools and building the schools. And I think it behooves this council to hear from them personally. So I'm going to ask for deferral for 2 meetings, please.
We have a motion and a second. Councilmember Dominic.
I stand in support of the deferral. If for no other reason, we've asked a number of questions, and we received this packet of information answering some of those questions 3 minutes before our committee meeting started today to vote on the bill. To have time to appropriately review the answers to these questions and make an informed decision, I support the deferral.
We have a motion and a second for a 2-meeting deferral.
Yes, ma'am.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. We will need a machine vote. Madam Clerk, will you close the machine and tally the vote?
10 yes, 23 no, and 2 abstentions.
The motion to defer 2 meetings fails.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I have no choice but to represent the people in the immediate area that I was elected to represent. Therefore, since we cannot defer this and we cannot have this discussion where you can hear the people, I'm going to ask that this resolution be voted down. I will like to have a few seconds for explanation, if you don't mind.
We have a motion and a second. Councilmember Duvall.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. This particular site has just literally split the community. I have something that I'm going to present that I'd like to get into the record. It's almost 1,100 signatures.
Would you please give it to the Sergeant at Arms?
Opposing this site. These are all folks that live in the area. And I realize there are a number of folks that signed another petition, I don't know how many, that supported the schools. But this has been a very, very divisive decision. And quite frankly, it has hurt this community. It has hurt the people that are trying to sell the property. This is drug on and drug on. And it's been painful for everybody. But we have got in my opinion, to solve the process problem that we have here. Since we can't allow the people to speak, then we've got no choice, in my opinion, but to stand with the people, at least I don't, to stand with the people that elected me, and I will take it to the end. That's what I've always done. I think everybody in this council knows, once I stand with the people, I stand with them. So I, again, am going to renew my request to defeat this bill. Thank you.
We are going to have a machine vote. The motion is to defeat this bill. If you want to keep the bill moving forward, you will vote yes. If you want the bill to go away, I think I just said it backwards, sorry. I'm trying to make it more confusing than it is. If you want the bill to move forward, vote no. If you want the bill to be dead, vote yes. Madam Clerk, will you close the machines and tally the vote?
For aye, 29 no, 2 abstentions. For aye, 29 no, 4 abstentions.
Bill passes.
The motion to defeat fails. It was 4 yes and 29 no, 2 abstention, 5 absent. So the motion to defeat the bill failed.
Now, we can go back to council involved. His only option is a motion to approve or
I know, it's over.
Mr. Cooper, will you want to explain what needs to happen now?
Since the motion to defer has failed and the motion to disapprove has failed, the only other option would be, well, there's 2 options. One would be a motion to withdraw. Another would be a motion to approve. If the primary sponsor does not wish to make a motion to approve, then it could go to another co-sponsor to make such a motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Mr. Cooper, for the explanation. I, with good conscience, cannot ask for this bill to be approved, so I would like to defer this to one of the other co-sponsors, please.
Councilmember Matthews?
I'd like to move approval.
We have a motion and a second. We're going to have a machine vote. This is to approve 522.
We need to do it. We've got to do the amendment.
I am so sorry. There's the amendment.
I'd like to move approval on the amendment.
We have a motion and a second on the amendment. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. The amendment passes. Councilmember Matthews.
I'd like to move approval on the bill as amended.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no.
No.
Motion
We
passes.
need a machine vote.
I'm sorry, I didn't. Do we have a no? Okay.
Yeah.
Machine vote. Has everyone voted? Everyone, please vote. Councilmember Gilmore? Then could you press abstain? Okay. Okay. Madam Clerk, please close the machine and tally the vote.
31 aye, 1 no, and 2 abstentions.
Motion passes. We're next at RS 2013-670, establishes the certified tax rate of Metro government. Councilmember Matthews.
Am I deferring now to track with budget also? I'd like to move deferral. I need a committee report still. Committee reports. Is it just my budget and finance voted to defer 12-4-0 against, and I'd like to defer to track with budget.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. Next is RS 2013-700. approves the Metropolitan Animal Care and Control Fee Schedule. Councilmember Weiner.
Committee reports, please.
Councilmember Matthews.
Budget and Finance vote to defer, 12-4, 0 against.
Councilmember Weiner.
Health and Hospitals voted to defer, 7-4, 0 against, and I move deferral.
We have a motion and a second on the deferral. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. We're now at bills on introduction and first reading. Are there any that need to be pulled? Is there a motion for their approval? We have a motion and a second for all bills on first reading. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. We have a late filed bill on first reading. Councilmember Matthews. It adopts the capital improvements budget and program for 2013-2014.
I'd like to move to suspend the rules.
Is there any objection to a suspension of the rules? Seeing none, Councilman.
I'd like to move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. We're now at bills on second reading. The first one is BL 2012-291, amends the definition of recycling facility to clarify that it does not include the conversion of material into a fuel product or asphalt, and to prohibit such activity on construction, demolition, landfill property. Councilmember Stanley.
Committee reports.
Councilmember Potts.
Public Works voted to disapprove 4-4, 0 against, and 1 not voting.
Thank you. Councilmember Stanley.
I'll move disapproval at this time with a couple of comments.
We have a motion and a second. Councilman Stanley.
Thank you. I just would like to have everyone understand that Davidson County is by far the most densely developed and densely populated county in the 95-county state of Tennessee. It's one of only 4 urban counties in the state of Tennessee. So I think it's important that we look at these landfills, whether they be sanitary or construction demolition landfills, and we allow only those things that are not going to have an adverse impact on the surrounding community. I'm willing to work with Mr. Cooper, with the planning department, to make sure that an ordinance of mine is going to walk hand in hand with the Metro zoning code. I want to make sure of that because we have an obligation to the people that put us in office to make sure that these types of uses, industrial uses, are not going to have an adverse impact on their surrounding properties. So with that, I'll say thank you.
We have a motion and a second to disapprove. All in favor of disapproval, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion to disapprove passes. BL 2013-360 provides compensation and benefits study for elected officials of Metro government. Councilmember Banks.
I believe we got an amendment to move. Oh yeah, committee reports, excuse me.
Councilmember Matthews.
Budget and Finance approved as amended, 12-4, 0 against.
And Personnel, Councilmember Banks.
Personnel approved, 5-4, 0 against. And I'd like to move the amendment.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor of the amendment, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The amendment passes. Councilman.
I'd like to move the bill.
We have a motion on the bill as amended and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2013-420 amends the Metro Code to create a small business economic development incentive plan. Councilmember Maynard.
Committee report, please.
Councilmember Matthews.
Budget and Finance approved, 12-4, 0 against.
Councilmember Maynard.
I'd like to move for approval with a brief explanation.
Have a motion and a second. Councilman.
First of all, I want to say that although my name and Councilman Tiger are there at the top, we met with several councilpersons within the belly of this, the council,
about 14 or 15 councilpersons were either working on legislation to help small businesses or they were doing research to help small businesses. So I want to thank all of the Metro councilpersons who agreed to sign on. Even though this bill may not include everything that you thought should be included, this is a great start. And this is the Metro Council's bill. And so I appreciate that the many of councilpersons who have signed on. I also like to thank the mayor. I'd like to thank the finance director. I'd like to thank Matt Wilshire for their hard work. I'd like to thank John Cooper and his staff for doing tremendous work on putting together this legislation. I'd like to take the remainder of my time and give it to Councilman Tykert. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Maynard. I had a witty and elegant speech prepared, but after I heard that someone asked Rich Rieblin a question that he couldn't answer, I got all thrown off and out of sync. So I've got to find out what that question is. To the citizens who are watching this is a program, a bill that has been developed by members of the Metro Council to give incentives to small businesses from two areas here in the county. The first is a pilot incentive grant program for small businesses, giving up to $500 per job or $750 if that person is a veteran, to those businesses that would hire up to 20 new full-time jobs in Davidson County. The grant would be administered by Metro through the Industrial Development Board, who would grant funds to the companies on a first-come, first-served basis. The second bill is a small business economic development incentive that would give cash grants to businesses that invest in blighted areas of our town. This would encourage these businesses to repair, rebuild, and renovate existing facilities and structures in neighborhoods whose stability depends upon the elimination of blight and upgrading of structural needs. Once again, this program would be managed by the Mayor's Office of Economic Development, Mr. Wilshire here, and the grants would be awarded on a first-come, first-served basis. Mayor Dean, Finance Director Rieblin, and Deputy Mayor Hinote are to be commended for working with us and providing up to $1 million in this first-year budget to help our small businesses who, as Mayor Dean commented yesterday at the tremendous opening of the Music City Center, small businesses are the bedrock of our community. I appreciate the support of all council members and look forward to helping small businesses grow in Davidson County.
Thank you. Seeing no one else wishing to speak, all in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2013-421 amends the Metro Code with regard to open burning. Councilmember Pardue.
Committee report, please.
Councilmember Bennett.
Public Safety approved as amended, 6-4-0 against.
Thank you. Councilman?
I'd like to move the amendment, please.
We have a motion and a second on the amendment. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The amendment passes. Councilman?
I'd like to move the bill as amended. And I'd like to thank the Academy and all of the ones that are here tonight that's going to vote for my bill. Thank you.
Thank you for that lovely acceptance speech. Now we'll vote on it. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2013-422 amends the Metro Code pertaining to the procedure to be followed in designating residential permit parking areas. Councilmember Moore.
Committee reports, please.
Councilmember Harrison.
Traffic and parking, at the request of a sponsor, deferred this indefinitely.
Thank you. Councilmember Moore.
I'm going to defer this indefinitely, and I do not have a speech.
Is a motion to defer indefinitely? And second, all in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. Next is BL 2013-423, approves an agreement with the state for an exchange of the Old Bend West Library property for the Tennessee Preparatory School property. Councilmember Moore.
Committee report.
Councilmember Claiborne.
Planning, Zoning, Historic voted to defer one meeting.
Councilmember Matthews.
Budget and Finance voted to defer 12-4-0 against.
Thank you. Councilmember Moore.
Defer one meeting.
Have a motion and a second for one meeting deferral. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2013-432 adopts the property tax levy for fiscal year 2013-2014. Councilmember Matthews.
Budget and Finance voted to approve and refer to Budget and Finance 12-4-0 against, and I'd like to move approval.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2013-434 approves an agreement between Vanderbilt University and Metro Government to provide student clinical instruction and training with the Davidson County Drug Court. Councilmember Weiner.
Committee reports, please.
Councilmember Bennett.
Public Safety approved, 6-4-0 against.
Councilmember Weiner.
Move approval.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2013-435 approves a lease agreement between Metro Board of Public Education and Liberty Collegiate Academy for use of the former Jerry Baxter School located at 3515 Gallatin Road. Councilmember Bennett.
Committee reports, please.
Councilmember Claiborne.
Planning, Zoning, Historic voted to approve 11-0.
Councilmember Bedney.
Education Committee voted to support it 10-4-0 against.
Thank you. Councilmember Matthews.
Budget and Finance approved 12-4-0 against.
Councilmember Bennett.
Move approval.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2013-436 approves a lease agreement between the Metro Board of Public Education and Nashville Preparatory Academy for the use of the McCain School property located at 1300 56th Avenue North. Councilmember Baker.
Committee reports, please.
Councilmember Claiborne.
Planning, Zoning, Historic voted to approve 11-0.
Councilmember Bedney.
The Education Committee voted 10-4-0 against.
Councilmember Matthews.
Budget and Finance voted to approve 12-4-0 against.
Thank you. Councilmember Baker.
Move approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2013-437 amends the official street and alley acceptance and maintenance map by abandoning a portion of alley number 902 right-of-way. Councilmember Langster.
Committee report, please.
Councilmember Claiborne.
Planning, Zoning, Historic approved 11-0.
Councilmember Harrison.
Traffic and Parking approved 4-0 against.
Councilmember Potts.
Public Works voted to approve 5-4-0 against.
Councilmember Langster.
Thank you. Move for approval, please.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2013-438 amends the official street and alley acceptance and maintenance map by abandoning a portion of alley number 428 right-of-way. Councilmember Moore.
Committee reports, please.
Councilmember Claiborne.
Planning, Zoning, Historic approved 11-0.
Councilmember Harrison.
At the request of the sponsor, we deferred this indefinitely.
Councilmember Potts. Is that the correct?
I think you got the wrong one.
No, this is 438.
Yes, sir.
No, that's not deferred indefinitely. That was the other one.
Well, I'm sorry, we did defer it in the committee, so you'll have to hand it on the floor.
Okay, I move to.
What was the motion for, one meeting or an indefinite deferral?
Neither.
Councilman Harrison, what did the committee
We
pass?
misread the letter and we deferred it indefinitely.
An indefinite deferral is not a deferral by rule, so you could move approval or any other motion.
Okay.
Councilmember Potts.
Public Works voted to approve 5-4-0 against.
Councilmember Moore.
I move for approval.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2013-439 amends the official street and alley acceptance and maintenance map by abandoning a portion of alley number 434 right-of-way. Councilmember Allen.
Committee reports, please.
Councilmember Claiborne.
Planning, Zoning, Historic approved 11-0.
Councilmember Harrison.
Traffic and Park and approve this 4-4 and 0 against.
Thank you. Councilmember Potts.
Public Works voted to approve 5-4-0 against.
Thank you. Councilmember Allen.
Move for approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2013-440 authorizes the disposition of 3 parcels of property adjacent to 28th Avenue North, previously acquired as part of the construction of the 28th Avenue connector. Councilmember Claiborne.
There is a housekeeping amendment.
Let me get some committee reports first. Councilmember Matthews.
Budget and Finance voted to approve as amended, 12-4-0 against.
Councilmember Potts.
Public Works voted to approve as amended 5-4-0 against.
Thank you. Councilmember Claiborne.
And Planning, Zoning voted to approve 11-0. And I would like to move the amendment.
We have a motion and a second on the amendment. All in favor of the amendment, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. Councilman.
I'd like to move the bill as amended.
Have a motion and a second on the bill as amended. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2013-441 authorizes Metro government to abandon easement rights within a portion of the former right-of-way of 5001 Tennessee Avenue. Councilmember Baker.
Committee reports, please.
Councilmember Claiborne.
Planning, Zoning, Historic approved 11-0.
Councilmember Potts.
Public Works voted to approve 5-4-0 against.
Councilmember Baker.
Move approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2013-442 authorizes the acquisition of easements for properties located on Boyce Court, Charles Court, Haynes Park Drive, Kingsview Drive, Iverson Avenue, Manor Avenue for the Haynes Park and Manor Place stormwater projects. Councilmember Scott Davis.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee reports, please.
Councilmember Claiborne.
Planning, Zoning, Historic voted to approve 11-0.
Councilmember Potts.
Public Works voted to approve 5-4-0 against.
Councilmember Matthews.
Budget and Finance voted to approve, 12-4-0 against.
Thank you. Councilmember Davis.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'd like to move for approval.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2013-443 authorizes the acquisition of easements for properties located at 574 and 592 Bell Road and 5304 Bellcrest Drive. Councilmember Potts.
Committee reports.
Councilmember Claiborne.
Planning, Zoning, Historic voted 11-4-0 against.
Councilmember Matthews.
Budget and Finance voted to approve it, 12-4-0 against.
Thank you. Councilmember Potts.
Public Works voted to approve 5-4-0 against, and I move approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor of approval, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2013-444 authorizes the acquisition of easements for 4 properties located at 608, 612, 613, and 617 Sunny Slope Court. Councilmember Perdue.
Committee report, please.
Councilmember Claiborne.
Planning, Zoning, Historic approved 11-0.
Councilmember Potts.
Public Works voted to approve 5-4-0 against.
Councilmember Matthews.
Budget and Finance approved, 12-4-0 against.
Thank you. Councilmember Perdue.
I move for approval, please.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2013-445 abandons 65 linear feet of an existing 8-inch sanitary sewer main and easement, and to accept 1 new sanitary sewer manhole on properties 4001 and 4003 Clarksville Pike. Councilmember Matthews.
Committee reports.
Councilmember Claiborne.
Planning, Zoning, and Historic approved 11-0.
Councilmember Potts.
Public Works vote to approve, 5-4, 0 against.
Thank you. Councilmember Matthews.
I'd like to move approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2013-446 readopts the Metro Code to include supplemental and replacement pages containing certain ordinances enacted on or before January 16, 2013. Councilmember Anthony Davis.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Rules Committee voted for approval, 7-4, 0 against, and I'd like to move approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2013-452 amends the Metro Code pertaining to the current animal control fee schedule. Councilmember Bennett.
Committee reports, please.
Councilmember Weiner.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Health and Hospitals voted 7-4, 0 against.
Thank you. Councilmember Matthews.
Budget and Finance approved, 12-4, 0 against.
Thank you. Councilmember Bennett.
Let's see. I guess that is everybody. Move approval, please.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. Next is BL 2013-348, changes 28.58 acres from MULA, CF, and ORI to MUGA, and 53.12 acres from MUIA for zoning of various properties in the Midtown between I-440 and I-40. Councilmember Langster.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee report, please.
Councilmember Claiborne.
I'm back with an 11-0 approval by Planning, Zoning, and Historic.
Thank you, Councilman Claiborne. Councilmember Langster.
I believe there's a substitute. I'd like to move.
We have a motion and a second on the substitute. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The substitute passes. Councilmember Langster.
I'd like to move for approval and ask permission to speak to this council and you, Vice Mayor, please.
We have a motion and a second. Now for your comments.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen of council, I've had the opportunity to visit with each one of you on this legislation. This has been a work in progress for over 2 years, and it comes to me from property owners in my district, District 21. It's not dealing with any properties outside of District 21. And I know today you got an email regarding this legislation, and I would like to address this question, if possible, to Mr. Doug Sloan. Mr. Sloan, could you address this council on whether the BRT has anything to do with this Midtown legislation?
The Midtown legislation has nothing to do with the BRT.
Directly or indirectly?
Directly or indirectly.
Thank you. I know that was of some concern to you council members, and you have heard it from the expert. So I asked for your consideration, and please support me in voting for this. This legislation comes directly from all 100 property owners or their representatives, and I'm doing what each of you try to do at every meeting, represent the concerns of your constituents, and I asked you to please vote in favor. With that, I renew my motion.
We have a motion and a second on the bill as substituted. Councilmember Duvall.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. If you will indulge me just a second, I would like to clarify something. Mr. Sloan, on the BRT, it would be the BRT/AMP that this zoning could support at the federal level because of the densities that it brings. Is that not correct, or are you aware?
Well, I really couldn't say because I'm not sure how that application is going to be rated. I don't know what they'll use to rate that application. But I can say that the reason for filing this legislation and the justification behind the rezoning has nothing to do with that application or the BRT.
Okay, and I think that if this were just HCA trying to make this move. I'd probably be one of the cheerleaders. And Edith, I thank you so much for the work you've done on this and all the time you've put in. I know what it's like. My concern is the BRT AMP, which is going to run down the center of West End from Fifth Avenue all the way to St. Thomas. And one of the things that the feds look at to provide the funding is the zoned density. And that's how you get the money. You have to have that to make that work. And this particular bill, directly or indirectly, by plan or not, which I don't believe it was planned, will impact the perception that the feds have that we can stack people and we will have enough people in that area to provide the busing support. And it will kill West End Avenue. So because of that, whether I'm right or I'm wrong, and if I find out I'm wrong, I'm going to apologize to you, Edith, because I don't like being wrong. But I believe I'm correct on this. I've done a lot of research, and I'm going to vote against this because of that. Thank you so much.
Councilmember Holloman.
Well, never mind, because I think now we're going to have a machine vote.
We're going to have a machine vote. Madam Clerk, please close the machine and tally the vote.
34 aye, 1 no, and 1 abstention.
Motion passes. Next is BL 2013-403, amends the Metro Zoning Code pertaining to exterior lighting of buildings and structures. Councilmember Johnson.
Committee report.
Councilmember Claiborne.
Planning, Zoning, Historic approved 11-0.
Councilmember Johnson.
Vice Mayor, I have a substitute. Mr. Cooper, can you explain the substitute, please?
Yes, the substitute was prepared by Mr. Bernhardt to add further clarification about how the area of excessive lighting is calculated. It adds some additional provisions that is to help the codes department determine whether something is or is not excessive under the bill.
Thank you. I would like to move the substitute.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor of the substitute, please say aye. Opposed, no. Substitute passes.
I would like to move the bill as amended.
We have a motion and a second on the bill as substituted. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2013-408 amends the official street and alley acceptance and maintenance map by abandoning alley number 1800 right-of-way and easement. Councilmember Moore.
All committee reports are in, and I move for approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2013-410 changes 1.57 acres from R6 to SP zoning for property located at 813 Watts Lane to permit light manufacturing and single-family residential uses. Councilmember Baker.
All committee reports in. I move approval.
I think we got one more. Councilmember Claiborne.
Trying to cut me out here. Planning, Zoning, Historic approved 11-0.
Councilmember Baker.
Move approval.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2013-411 changes 0.7 acres from RS5 to SP zoning for properties located at 1801, 1805, and 1807 Sevier Street to permit up to 10 detached single-family dwelling units. Councilmember Westerholm.
Thank you. I believe all committee reports are in.
You got one more, too.
One more.
Councilmember Claiborne.
Planning, Zoning, Historic approved 11-0.
Thanks for the reminder.
Councilmember Westerholm.
Thank you, Councilman. All right, with that, I will move approval.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. BL 2013-412 changes 36.25 acres from SP to RS 80 zoning for property located at Hicks Road, unnumbered, east of Sawyer Brown Road. Councilmember Weiner.
Councilmember Claiborne, I have your back. Committee reports, please.
Councilmember Claiborne.
Just so everybody knows, I've got the next 7 here. Planning, Zoning, Historic approved 11-0.
Councilmember Weiner.
I am more than happy to move approval of this bill.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. Okay. Next is BL 2013-413, changes 2.27 acres from OR 20 and IWD to CS zoning for property located at 12629 Old Hickory Boulevard. Councilmember Duvall.
Sorry, Madam Chair. Committee report, please.
Councilmember Claiborne.
Planning, Zoning, Historic approved 11-0.
Councilmember Duvall.
I'll move for approval.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes.
I won one, Madam Chair.
BL 2013-414 changes .36 acres from R6 to CS to SP zoning for properties located at 5100 and 5104 Illinois Avenue to permit a mixture of uses. Councilmember Baker.
Committee report, please.
Councilmember Claiborne.
Planning, Zoning, Historic approved 11-0.
Councilmember Baker.
Move approval.
Do you have a substitute you need to move? Is someone from planning there to explain? Do you want to move the substitute, Councilman Baker?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. We have a motion and a second on the substitute. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. Councilman Baker.
Move a substitute.
Have a motion and a second on the bill as substituted. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2013-415 changes .34 acres from RS5 to SP zoning for properties located at 1729 and 1731 Knoll Street to permit a maximum of 4 residential units. Councilmember Langster.
Do I need a committee report from Councilman Claiborne?
He's not going to sit down. He will not sit down until he's given all his committee reports. So if
Yes.
he's standing up, yes.
Okay, well, I would
Councilman
like a
Claiborne.
committee report. then,
Councilman
please.
Claiborne.
Planning, Zoning, Historic voted to approve 11-0.
Councilmember
I still have 3 more.
That is great. Thank you. Move for approval.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2013-416 changes 4.11 acres from RS40 to MUL zoning for property located at Whites Creek Pike unnumbered, south of Eatons Creek Road. Councilmember Matthews.
Committee reports, please.
Councilmember Claiborne.
Planning, Zoning, Historic approved 11-0.
Thank you. Councilmember Matthews.
Thank you very much. I'd like to move approval.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2013-417 changes 1.04 acres from R10 to SP zoning for properties located at 1701 and 1705 and 1709 Glen Echo Road to permit up to 8 residential units. Councilmember McGuire.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee reports, please.
Councilmember Claiborne.
Planning, Zoning, Historic approved 11-0.
Councilmember McGuire.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'd move approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2013-418 amends sections of the Metro Zoning Code by modifying which zoning district-specific automobile-related uses are permitted. Councilmember Hunt.
Committee reports, please.
Councilmember Claiborne.
Planning, Zoning, Historic voted to approve 11-0.
Councilmember Hunt.
With all committee reports being completed, I move for approval.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2013-419 amends the Metro Code pertaining to bulk standards for single-family structures on lots containing less than the minimum required lot area and by adding a reference table. Councilmember Claiborne.
Planning, Zoning, Historic voted to approve 11-0, and I would move approval.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2013-424 approves a lease agreement between Metro Nashville Public Schools and the state on behalf of Nashville State Community College for use of space for the Academy at Hickory Hollow. Councilmember Dow.
Committee reports?
I think they're all in.
Oh, okay, good. Well, then I move for approval.
We have a motion and a second.
I thought Phil had something.
No, he's, all in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2013-425 approves a license agreement to use Metro property for cross-access to HHKW Properties, LLC. Councilmember Scott Davis.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I believe all the committee reports are in. Then I move for approval.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2013-426 approves the abandonment of 930 feet of an existing 8-inch public sewer main and associated easements on properties located at 4201, 4203, and 4208 Johnstone Court, and at 3801 and 3905 Hobbs Road. Councilmember Todd.
Thank you. Move approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2013-427 approves the abandonment of public utility and drainage easements on properties located at 2708 Worthen Avenue. Councilmember McGuire.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. All committees having reported, I move approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. 2013-428 approves the abandonment of 115 feet of existing 8-inch public sewer main and easements and to accept 94 feet of an 8-inch public sewer main on property located at 1 Burton Hills Boulevard. Councilmember McGuire.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. All committees having reported, I move approval.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2013-429 approves the abandonment of 85 feet of existing 8-inch public sewer main and easements and to accept 42 feet of an 8-inch public sewer main on property located at 100 Foothill Court. Councilmember Tenpenny.
With all committees in, I move for approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2013-430 amends the official street and alley acceptance and maintenance map by abandoning a portion of 28th Avenue North right-of-way. Councilmember Langster.
Committee report.
Councilmember Harrison.
Traffic and parking approved 4-4 and 0 against.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilmember Langster.
Move for approval, please.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. Is there a motion to adjourn? All in favor, please say aye.